Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, how you doing? You caught me daydreaming a little bit. It's Thursday. It's July 16, and I'm hoping Sally Wiggin is on the other end. Sal? Hello? She's not there yet? Well, phooey. Well, I'm wondering. Okay. It's not necessarily a good sign, but Sally is often late. I don't know where to start as usual. I had really been looking forward to just talking to Sally today. Let me text her really fast and see if I can scare her up. Okay. It's hard to talk and type. Are you calling in? Thank you. There. Okay. We'll do the best we can there. So, how you guys? I keep telling myself I've got to sort of find a new tone. But I just read a piece I think it was in the New York Times, about how we can pull away from scrolling through horrible news and the impact it has on our psyches. And two paragraphs in, of course, it says meditate. I meditated yesterday, and I told myself I was going to try to start habitually doing it. It does help. I sort of learned how to do it a few years back, and I found it really helpful. And then I stopped doing it, which is pretty odd. Why does one stop doing something that first of all you think is having a positive impact, and second of all, even while you're doing it, generally you enjoy? I don't know. So I'm trying to get back into it. Creating a habit is extraordinarily difficult when it's something that's good for you. Creating a habit that is something that is bad for you is extraordinarily easy. I have found. I got tons of bad habits. I don't have a lot of great habits. So Sally's calling in. As soon as she's there, we'll get her on. Okay. Okay. So just let me know when she's there. God, I hate having to handle. I'm handling too many. I got two phones, two screens, and I'm an old baby boomer, and we didn't multitask much. Not like people are capable of doing today. So, speaking of aging baby boomers, of which I definitely am one. There was an interesting piece I read that I've often wondered about myself. I've noted it. And the headline said it all. So I immediately thought, well, we are, again, exceptional, talking about this country. And the headline is, "It's not just you. America's leaders are getting older." And I have brought this up before in time when clearly youth is energizing so many areas of our discourse. It is so bizarre that the two oldest white men ever are who is running for the presidency. Sally,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Now, see, I'm in my car in the parking lot of Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, for God's sake.
Well,
Is this prior or post having gotten your donuts?
Post. I'm eating it. I took a bite just now.
Well, okay. How many did you get?
Just one, Boston cream. And then I was going to get a Starbucks. I thought I would get home in time to do this, but I didn't because I could not suppress this desire for an iced latte. But the Starbucks line was too long. Dunkin' Donuts, I'm just giving commercial time to all these places.
Yeah,
anyway,
well,
I want to get in. I want to jump into what you were talking about. These two old white men. So,
yeah.
So fill me, catch me up.
Well, I mean, it is bizarre because you had, these. We have a time now where the country and our hope is in the young people. And look at the two oldest people either one will be the oldest president. I mean, Biden, my God, is older. Trump was 70 when he took office, which was the oldest president to take office initially. And Biden would be 78. So in that regard, we're moving in the wrong direction. But what's bizarre and what I was wondering about is we are the only country that is doing this. All the other countries of the world are embracing people in their 30s and 40s to run their countries. So it is bizarre.
Whoa. How old is Angela Merkel?
All right,
she's not a spring chicken.
No.
How old is Macron?
Macron is probably in his 50s. Okay, let me just say, most of them are, I'll give you Macron and even Merkel. But the reality is America's president will be a good 20 years older than almost other world leader.
But they have been saying that he only plans on being there for one term. That there are people who are guessing that he or at least have heard that his plans are not to necessarily run again, and that's why this choice for vice president is so important.
Yeah. One of the things,
that, right?
Well, yes, but one of the things we've heard it hasn't been, he's never said that. Biden has never said that I will only serve one term. But I think that's what everybody's thinking. Of course, I don't know many people who, once they ascend to the presidency, step away voluntarily from it.
Well, you might say Johnson stepped away voluntarily.
Who did?
Johnson voluntarily stepped away.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
And he did in part because he saw, he just couldn't tolerate the climate or the hell that would break around him. I don't know, but they say that some of this might have to do with how screwed up our politics are. In that, well, I don't even want to. The reality is, they say that we are a gerontocracy. We are ruled by old people. And look at the Congress.
I'm okay with that because I'm old.
Well, yeah, but it's clear that we're welcoming in these young people. But boy, I'll tell you, I'm sick of the older ones. I'm sick of them. I want them to go away.
Okay. Now I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this because I do love young people. Oh my God, I have. A big piece of donut that dropped on my pants. Just a minute. I'm making a mess of this, and I'm trying to be serious. I love young people, and for instance, my godchild, who is the closest thing to a son that I have. I think sometimes he's not realistic about what can be accomplished, but his youthful enthusiasm about this is refreshing, and I have great faith in our younger people, and it makes me excited. At the same time, I've studied cultures in Asia that revere older people, and when there have been they've been rulers and they've been monarchs, but who have ruled well as well into older years. So I don't, but I know that there have been studies that say that someone in their late 70s is not as capable of making quick decisions. They're not as facile. They're not as quick on their feet as if they were in their 50s. But
they can. Yeah, but I mean, we're all individuals, so that is true of some. I have met some 90-year-olds that are sharp as a tack and would put them up against any 20-something I know. So it does depend.
Well, then you're arguing with yourself.
So no, that age doesn't really matter. But we have, if you look at if you read this article in the New York Times, we are exceptional in the fact that our political power rests almost solely with people over 70 years of age. And what's interesting, Sally, is we are not a country that in any other way prizes or respects old people.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. But wait, it gets even. This just backs up what you're saying. So many of these young people who became part of the process during the primaries and last year were supporting an old white man.
Yeah, they sure as hell were. The oldest white guy.
My godchild was all about Bernie. He wasn't sure he was going to vote. And I'm like, I said, I'm going to drag you to the polls by your hair if you don't vote in this election.
Yeah.
And he realizes it now, last year, but I do think they have a sense. But I which is so, because we were always looked at as the country that worshiped youth, because we were a youthful nation when you looked at the industrialized
and we still
world.
are. We still are. We still are in short pants as nations go. We are young as hell. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. But so I'm not. I don't understand why, and why did we not, when young people have run, why have either party, well, I can see why the Republicans haven't, but why has the Democratic Party not embraced them? Because who was young? Are you still there?
Yes, but the way it works.
I was looking at who were the young people that were running in the Democratic Party.
Buttigieg. I mean, you've got Beto O'Rourke, Buttigieg. You got, OCS.
Cory Booker.
Yes, lots of them. They were a ton of young ones.
How old is Kamala Harris?
She's young enough. And, yes. And they were refreshingly, new. But
how old was Barack Obama when he was elected?
Really
48?
young.
49? Yeah.
No. He was at least 40. I don't know. By the way, Macron is 42.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's a baby.
He's a baby. Then all of these, incredible women who we hear about, in New Zealand and in, I think, Finland.
She's an amazing.
They're in their 30s. They're in their 30s, Wow. And, look, this is the last gasp of the gerontocracy. My guess is we're going to have to.
I agree.
hand this over. I mean, Biden is so, Sally, Biden is so old, he's not even a baby boomer.
He's not?
No.
He's not. Oh, my
God,
he's not.
He's, in fact, a member of what was called the silent generation, that group in between the greatest generation and the boomers.
And the boomers. Oh, my
goodness.
Yeah,
and not one person from the silent generation I saw, and I can't believe this is true, was ever elected president. Is that possible? Is that
You mean
possible?
even when they were young, they weren't elected?
I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, I think...
wait, wouldn't John F. Kennedy have been the silent generation?
No, he was the greatest generation.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God,
my father's age.
I'm sorry. That's right. He was in World War II.
He's frozen in time as a guy in his 40s.
Isn't that true? That's a perfect description. Well, it's interesting. I have not seen. I normally read the New York Times online in the morning, but I had a vet appointment. I didn't have a vet appointment. My dog did. It sounds like I'm going to the vet for a doctor. I had a vet appointment that was really early. And so I had to get him in the car, and I didn't have a chance to read it. So is that in today's New York Times?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So your dog's hanging in there, huh?
Yeah, he's amazing. I took him to see, and this neurologist is brilliant. I highly recommend him if you ever need one. He's at Dr. McKillop at TVSEC, and he's become a good friend. And I was afraid that I wasn't making a good decision. You always question yourself when the time is. And I mean, I took him. I mean, listen, I told you a story, didn't I? I took him to be put down.
Yes, you took him to be put down, and you stopped it.
And I told him to take I stopped it. I told him to take the catheter out, and I said, I'm not doing this. This is not the time. Then I felt embarrassed, and I looked at Ed, Dr. McKillop, and I said, do people do this? He said, once in a while. And then I got in the car, and I was so excited. I ate that big chicken salad sandwich at Arby's, and I spend my life at fast food restaurants. And then a cookie, and then I promptly, as I'm driving home, just started vomiting it up all over me. And in the
Will you stop? Just stop.
It was awful. Anyway, so let's go back to politics. But anyway, that's where I was this morning. And he said, my dog has it's a horrible disease. It's like ALS. And it's called degenerative myelopathy. But he said he's getting around, he's compensating, and he said he's no longer ambulatory from behind, but he still can drag himself with his front. And as long as and he said, but he looks like he's enjoying life. He said he doesn't want a sling. He won't let me put a sling on him, and he doesn't like you to move him around. And they tried to get him to lie down, and he's kind of like warning you, I don't want you to do this. And but he said, other than that, he said, I think he's doing well. And he said, and so I was really glad that I did make the right decision, because I get so upset when people keep animals alive too long, because it's for them and not for the animal. I think we need to be really...
It's a tough call, though.
It is. It's a horrible call, and I've done it a lot because I've ended up with dogs that are older, that are retired, so I have them less time. So it just seems like... 6 months ago, I put a dog down. It just seems like I'm constantly putting dogs down. It's just very depressing.
Oh, it's awful.
I'm a good retirement home. I'm a good retirement home. So anyway, but you have the greatest dog in the world. But we should go back to presidents.
Leave the presidents to hell with them.
No,
by the way,
no.
Kamala Harris is 55.
Well, 55 seems young. God, does that seem young?
Isn't that funny? It does.
I would give anything to be 55 again. Oh, geez. Yeah. Now, but well, I don't know. But we always. I would be interested to see the ages of other monarchs or leaders in the past. But actually, our median age is much older now, and the ability to be fit and eat well and has lengthened our cognitive. It's lengthened the time where our cognition is still good and you're functioning at a high level. I'm not part of that group, but other people are. And so I mean,
too many donuts. Too many donuts.
Yeah.
So
I shouldn't have done that.
So I wanna just move on to some others. However,
good. All right, you just keep throwing them out there.
I am. I'm going to keep throwing them out there. God, I've got a deep voice today. I don't know, something's wrong in my throat. There's also.
Have you been dreaming that? I've been dreaming that I have the coronavirus.
Well, sure. You have these anxiety dreams. There's no doubt.
Okay,
there's no doubt about it.
That in. All right, move on. I'm sorry, I had to.
Okay. Well, you have dreams in which people aren't, masked, and they're, you're even watching movies or TV, and you see crowd scenes. You get like, no, don't stop it. Don't hug. What are you doing? You can't hug that person. I mean, the way we used to live just looks so dangerous now. So I am looking at that, God, my voice, that was taken somewhere in Utah, I believe, Utah County. And it's where the school board was meeting, or some governmental body was meeting to discuss opening schools. And Sally, I am looking at a packed, standing room only room, people lining the walls, cheek to jowl, and almost nobody is wearing a mask.
No.
Almost nobody is wearing a mask. And what happened was the council, whatever this group was, adjourned a county commission. They refused to. They said, "We're out of here. I'm not going to have this meeting."
Good for them. But it's your first reaction to that is you want to just punch them all in the face. Well, that may not.
What is with these? I mean, how stupid do you have to be? In Georgia, which has spiking all over the place, you have mayors of cities, Atlanta included, ordering that all people wear masks. And you have their governor yesterday issuing an executive order nullifying any local mask mandates.
What?
Yes.
What happened yesterday?
Yes, you have Republicans in power as governors and presidents actively working against the public health and endangering the lives of countless Americans.
Well, but has Arizona finally mandated? I think Arizona.
Well,
has,
you're at depending on where you live, you're at the mercy of.
Well, I think Arizona initially did not have any, and now I think he finally did mandate it because the number of cases they have is.
Well,
but here's the thing.
What is with these people?
Well, I read an article and it really gave me pause, because one of the things you want to do is you want to shame people, even if you're just mentally in your mind shaming them when you're watching the news reports or you see them. I was at a place, and I'm not going to say where it was, and I would say 60 to 70% of people didn't have the mask on, and I felt like I was running. I felt like I was running a gauntlet, trying to get away from people and moving as fast as I could. But I read an article, I think it was in the Atlantic, I can't remember where, about the psychological the psychological need that is really counterproductive to shame people or even mentally shame people, just in your head about who are not wearing masks, because that's not productive. And so I'm trying very hard to understand. They said one of the reasons is they claim that there's misinformation. But the answer to that was, and then this just makes me more upset with our educational system, is that initially they didn't know initially they did tell us. One of the reasons they were telling us not to wear masks,
they were telling us because they wanted the front line.
They needed to save them. They needed to save them for the front line.
So they were not honest with us initially.
Well, but they also didn't know how incredibly contagious it was. They did not. They didn't, Ninu. And so now that they know, and so people are, well, you didn't tell us at first, you lied to us, so you're lying to us now. And that showed, one of the pieces I read showed there is an ignorance in our country.
But let me just insert.
We are a stupid nation.
Yeah, we are a stupid nation because we have refused to fund education, public education.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Okay, and that has been a Republican talking point. The Republican Party has, in modern times, has brought us to where we are, a nation of idiots who can be led to their own demise. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Yes, you are. Do you want me to take over? I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, wait. No, it's not.
This is really hard. Do you have a glass of water? Drink a glass of water.
Yeah, I am. I am drinking water. Well, my asthma was ticking up yesterday, and
I have an inhaler nearby.
Yeah, and I did a nebulizer treatment right before I went to bed, and I don't know if that maybe in some way irritated my throat. I can't figure it out. Whatever. I'm not going to worry about it.
You need to stop.
No, unless it's listening to me is unbearable.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to just. I think I've been watching Hamilton so much. I've watched it 4 times now. I'm obsessed with it. And while it has flaws, and they admit it, and it's now that it's 4 years later, it's a different time. But it still gives you pause that there were wonderful ideas and there were horrible ideas. But this nation, surprisingly, was founded by a bunch of rich white men. Nonetheless, they really did some amazing things. They neglected some things that were horrid and awful. And even those who were against slavery didn't have the guts to stand up to the southern states because they wanted to make this union. And you see how it was imperfect, but it was still what Obama says when he invited them to the White House. What he says about this country, it keeps improving. It keeps improving, and it does. And so, with all of this mess that we have, I still have great hope for this country. I'm going to start to cry.
Don't cry. Your donut will get soggy.
No, but I really do, and I think it's.
Well, I have less hope. I have less hope. I do.
Well,
we have leadership. Listen to this. I'm going to quote. This is Rudy Giuliani, who, in our lifetime, we actually looked up to for a while, didn't we?
Yes, we did, especially after 9/11.
That's what I'm talking about.
He led well after 9/11. You have to give him that.
Yes. Uh-huh. Here is what he said the other day about Black Lives Matter. They are going to take your property, and they want reparations for slavery. This is not spontaneous. This is planned. This is one of the cores of Marxism. and no private property. They want the government to have it, and they're going to take it. Black people will get it, and they'll also get to choose the property they want. And that's the reparations, except it'll include black people that came from the Caribbean, and it's going to get paid by white people who never had anything to do with slavery. That's Rudy Giuliani now. And you know how many millions of Americans take that in and believe it. So you have people actively working in this country to misinform, to sow hate, to sow bigotry, to sow racism, anti-Semitism, and they're growing in number.
Yeah,
they're a good third of the country.
No, I agree with you about that anti-Semitism is growing, and I'm really horribly alarmed about that. I agree with you. But look at the numbers about racism now. There's a large majority in this country that believe that systemic racism has existed for a long time and needs to be corrected.
That's right.
I mean, did you see what Asheville, North Carolina's done? Did you see what they just did, their city council?
Yes, I did.
They passed
a reparations bill
to begin to give reparations.
But they can't figure it out. But yes, they did, and that's amazing. That is amazing. But there's going to be a lot of sort of shows of support and understanding, and we have to see where it leads. You've got the Julie,
but I'm hopeful that it can lead in a good.
But Sally, you've got these Giulianis and Trumps and Fox and all the right-wing media, which is all of radio, and they are going to actively misinform people about all of this.
But listen, Lan, the majority of people who watch Fox are in their mid to late 60s and 70s. That is not a demographic that's going to be around for a long time and that's going to have an impact so much on policy. So you just have to hang on and let these.
No, we've been waiting. That's what we've been saying. I've been waiting for people to die, and they'll take us down before they do. Hey, listen to this. I have another quote here. Let me get this quote in.
After you say this, I have something very important to say. Go ahead with your quote. Okay.
No, you better say yours because mine is going to change. Go ahead. You say yours.
Subject. Okay. You were he was talking about what Giuliani talks about is that they're atheists and so are Marxists. Do you know what's interesting? The demographic that probably is the most spiritual and has more Christians than any other demographic is African Americans.
That's true.
Their faith, their Christianity is very strong, and so that's so. What he says, you can just shoot a hole in it right there. Oh, I shouldn't have used that.
Well, you can, yes, but you can. You can destroy almost all of their arguments if anyone will listen.
But I just wanted to point that out.
Okay.
When I sometimes so anyway.
Okay, so I just wanted to share another wonderful quote from somebody who has the ears of tens of millions of Americans on a regular basis. You know, more even than Rudy Giuliani. And this is a Fox News host, Brian Kilmeade. Is that how it's pronounced?
I guess, yeah.
He's one of their, big ones. And this is a quote from 2 days ago. One group that's living large these days is the San Francisco homeless population.
You gotta be kidding me.
No. Okay. Can you even you've got a really good head. Try to possibly fill in what the hell he could have been talking about. Because he flat out said this. I'll give you the full quote. Millions of Americans have had to make huge sacrifices thanks to this epidemic. But one group that's living large these days is the San Francisco homeless population.
Why? Because they're being fed? They're being brought in? And
no, they're being given hotel rooms. They're being put in, here's what he says, the city is putting many of them in fancy, I'm sure, hotel rooms at taxpayer expense. Of course.
To keep them from spreading the virus.
And I'm sure it ain't fancy hotel rooms. But in other words, the government is doing what the government should be doing.
And some of these people who are homeless or mentally ill, and way back under a certain president, when they shut down a lot of the state hospitals and they shut down the support of funding for those who are mentally ill but didn't have the money, the families to place them in appropriate facilities, and they ended up on the streets. Do you remember when that happened in the 80s and we talked about how awful it was? We did stories about it all the time.
Yeah.
But the remnants of that are still there.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
You know what?
That.
I'm not going to have. I have a lot of friends who are conservative. I don't think they're my friends anymore.
No, I don't see how they can be. How can you? I can't.
Well, you just don't talk about the thing.
No, but why?
You just say,
but I mean, their politics.
I don't know, because politics
says something about your values, about who you are.
But I do have a lot of friends who are very conservative. I do. Well, I won't say a lot anymore. They seem to just have disappeared. I don't get invited anymore to the parties.
Good.
No, it sort of makes me sad.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, there's a hysterical story about Dorothy Parker's remains in the Washington Post. Have you seen that?
No. Was it today? Remember, I haven't read anything this morning.
I think it's no, it was yesterday. Dorothy Parker was the quintessential New Yorker, right? And you would think she'd be buried in New York. But she's not. You know where she is? She's buried in the backyard of the Baltimore NAACP.
Why?
Don't ask. It's such a long story. And they're planning on relocating their headquarters to Washington. And now there's all this dismay about whether to take Dorothy with them.
Okay, all right.
Wait, what? So you gotta.
How do you find all this stuff?
Actually, Susan sent me it, and then I saw it later because I do look at the Washington Post. Anyway,
so do I.
She was, of course, the female member of the Algonquin Round Table with all of those brilliant wits. And some of her more famous quotes, the first thing I do in the morning is brush my teeth and sharpen my tongue. And she also...
I do remember that.
She's the one who said this, and I took it totally to heart. Men seldom make passes at girls who wear glasses. And
she's the one who said that? I remember
that.
Oh, my God, that's right. Oh, my gracious.
She also said, I like to have a martini, 2 at the very most. After 3, I'm under the table. After 4, I'm under my host.
Oh my God, I do remember.
And then she said, if you wear a short enough skirt, the party will come to you. And also, famously, you can lead a whore to culture, but you can't make her think.
Oh, that's a little bit.
Well, that's of her age, right?
Yeah.
She okay, so I'm trying to find out. She was a real social activist, so she stood up for those anarchists, Sacco and Vanzetti. She raised money for the legal defense of the Scottsboro boys, those 9 black kids who were, of course, falsely accused of raping white women in Alabama. And she also, when she died of a heart attack, she had no family, and she left her entire estate to Martin Luther King Jr.
How old was she when she died?
73.
Oh my God! Oh, see, I don't think I'm going to make it to 73. I don't.
Yes, you are. And anyway, I just want to say that so she leaves her by the way, her whole estate was $40,000. So that's all. Dr. King gets this notice that he's inherited $40,000 from Dorothy Parker, and to say the least, he was puzzled. He ends up being killed within months of receiving that money.
Oh my God.
And then her 40,000 somehow ended up with the NAACP. She had made tells us that we need to do these kinds of things. She left no instructions for what to do with her body. And so it turns out that Lillian Hellman, the playwright and good friend, kept Dorothy Parker's ashes for 17 years. And then when Lillian Hellman died, Dorothy Parker ended up with her Hellman's lawyer, who kept Dorothy in a file cabinet. And then she stayed in the file cabinet in Hellman's lawyer's office for 3 years. And then the gossip columnist Liz Smith heard about it, and she did a column saying, somebody, please get her out of that filing cabinet. And Liz Smith suggested that perhaps the NAACP would like to claim the ashes of the woman who had benefited, their benefactors. And so that's what happened. And Benjamin Hooks, who was then the executive director, presided over the ceremony with the Baltimore mayor. And Dorothy got buried in the backyard of the NAACP headquarters and there you go. And now they don't know what to do. There's a plaque on the ground in this backyard in Baltimore that says this memorial.
It's very. Just dig them up, get the plaque, or just take the plaque, leave them in the ground, take the plaque. And put the plaque in the Washington office.
Well, people say, people are disappointed that she didn't end up in New York because that was her home and her first and last love. And where she is now, the pine trees that are there, their roots have dislodged the bricks in the path, and there's weeds all over. So I don't know. They don't know quite what to do with her. And you know what she had suggested for her epitaph, by the way? It's another one that people haven't known. And this is so perfect for this poor woman who can't find a resting place. She had suggested that her epitaph be, "Excuse my dust."
Oh, That's funny. Well, she's she has a resting place. She has a resting place already. It's if you want to believe that, it's in heaven. She has a resting. She's in heaven. She would entertain God. She would be great entertainment for God. So I think yes.
That's right.
You know what? That's why. I'm more worried about cremation because I don't want it to hurt, but I can't imagine being locked in a box underground either. Like, what if you can feel when you're dead? That would be awful. So I worry about that a little bit.
You can't feel when you're dead.
But you don't know. You've never been dead.
On.
You've never been dead.
Jeez.
And I worry about that.
God. Jesus.
But listen, you haven't taken any calls or read any emails. We're being very selfish.
Okay, I got a great email here.
Okay.
and thank you, Art, because I had forgotten. So you were laughing at all of Dorothy's witticisms until I got to you can lead a horticulture, but you can't make her think. And
Art would not be happy about that.
No, Art. Lynn, here, this will make it different for you. Lynn, he said, remember that whore statement was in response to a question that was posed to Dorothy Parker. And the question was, Sally, it's not a question, it's a statement, it's a challenge. She was challenged to, quote, use the word horticulture in a sentence.
Oh, my God.
Is that not clever as hell? And that woman comes up with horticulture. You can lead a horticulture, but you can't.
Do you know what? But see, without knowing that, when that just stands alone, it seems unkind. But if you put it in that context, it doesn't. It just seems clever.
Well, as Art says, it's brilliant, right? Yeah.
It is brilliant. No, it's
use horticulture in a sentence.
That's very good. Okay. Well, good for Art. Good for Art for knowing.
Yeah, thank you, Art.
Congratulations, Art. There's got to be some others. There's some others there because I feel like I'm just babbling. Otherwise you would be taking everybody's questions.
We've got a criticism, which I think is correct. Lloyd writes, enjoy you and Sally, but would you let each one of your topics be completed? You're talking over each other.
He's absolutely right. Well, this is the way we normally talk, and that's not good radio. So you know what? He's absolutely right. So I'm going to shut up. Finish your thought.
Well, we just have to. He says you're both strong women.
But actually, what's so funny is I'm not, and you know that. You know my dating history. I've never been a strong woman, especially when I'm in. When I'm dating a guy, I just...
Well, listen, Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was done.
Well, I have the same thing in many... We both come on like very strong women, and we are in many ways, Sally, very strong women. We have both navigated our lives successfully, in many, many ways, but it is true we are both women brought up in a certain day and age, and we have that baggage of feminine weakness, subservient, submissive crap that got put into our heads, which makes it more difficult for us, yes, in personal relationships, but also because of your success professionally, which gave you power and celebrity. And you know this is true. That is worse than having zits and buck teeth and no hair to most men. That made you somebody they couldn't deal with.
Well,
and even if
I know a lot of people in this business who have been successful with romance and having a family.
Well, they got lucky.
Well, no, I think that if you are women like us, I don't know, if you're a woman of strength, but you're uncomfortable with how to use it, you don't know how to use it, and for me, it was I just wanted to have somebody. I just wanted to have a mommy and a daddy and a baby. That was all I wanted, because my father died when I was so young, and I just kept making mistakes, and part of it was the business I was. And the impression people have that you are strong when you really aren't, and I think that mucks everything up. So we go the political road simply because he wrote "You're Both Strong Women." Didn't he? Did he write that?
Yeah, he did. And we are, but we're not all. People wouldn't believe that. For instance, I cannot stand conflict. I will avoid it. I will. Do you think people would think that would be true of me, or that I am shy, essentially, socially?
No, you're extreme. You're no, yeah. I mean, people don't know that people have to pry you out of your home.
I am socially anxious as hell.
You've always been that way. You really have.
I'm a wreck. Yeah, I'm a wreck. So, and it's not unusual in a lot of times when people who are like you and me, essentially performers, who are comfortable on a stage, but less comfortable in a quiet, intimate setting, perhaps. That's like a classic. That's a classic personality.
I have a story. I'm not going to mention who the actor is, but it was a really famous actor. And he was in town and was at an event, and I was there. And I went out with a group of people with him. And I mean, I wasn't on a date with him or anything like that, but I was sitting next to him in the car. We were driving, and I was so shy. Because I still, to this day, when I go to a party where there are men, and now that I don't drink anymore, it was why I drank. I mean,
sure.
I'm a recovering alcoholic.
It's why I drink. Yeah.
I was so painfully shy, and that's how I became an alcoholic. But so at that point, I was in one of my recoveries. Now I'm in recovery for 7 years, but I couldn't drink. So I was so shy I couldn't talk to him. And I thought if I just say something, and then I would say something, it would be really stupid or it would be uninteresting. And I was brokenhearted that I couldn't. And then I found out someone he had met at the event, he went out with later. And I'm like, why couldn't I be that person? Why couldn't I be that person? Why did I have to be? And that is the story of my dating dating life. Is just wanting so badly, and so if a man would pay attention to me and be somebody that I was just so thrilled that he even paid attention to me.
I know. I have a lot of that too.
That's not strong, and I don't know where that comes from.
No, I know, but it's one part of our lives that got messed with. I don't know.
But you were successful in that you ended up having a child, and it is my greatest regret that I don't have a child. But I know, I remember saying, I don't want to be a single parent. I want to have a husband and a child. And I said that in therapy, and I held to that. And so now I'm here with 2 freaking dogs in Corona land. I call it Corona land. But anyway, enough of that. We're all very lucky. You know what? We're all very lucky because we're not homeless in San Francisco.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to change the subject again. I just got an email from Milt, who's a wonderful guy, who, by the way, Milton, I was thinking of you today. I actually thought of you, and I was going to email you and say, are you okay? Because I hadn't heard from you for a while. You know how doing a show like this, you care about people who you interact with. And then when you don't hear from them for a while, you get nervous, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
of course.
Milt says, you probably remember, but in 2013, I sent you a note on Dorothy Parker's birthday.
Oh, my God.
And Tom Sokolowski was on the show that day. And he said, and you and Tom took turns reading Dorothy Parker quotes. And he says, here's the original letter. You and Chris mentioned Dorothy Parker on your yesterday's show. Coincidentally, today is the 120th anniversary of her birth. So he has some of her ability to emote, particularly the vulnerability of her female character's position in society during the first half of the 20th century in America, is remarkable. Oh, so let me read this. He sends this. This is Dorothy Parker writing. I'll call you at 5, darling. Goodbye, darling. He was busy and he was in a hurry and there were people around him, but he called me darling twice. That's mine. That's mine. I have that, even if I never see him again. Oh, but that's so little. That isn't enough. Nothing's enough if I never see him again. Please let me see him again. God, please. I want him so much. I want him so much. I'll be good, God. I will try to be better. I will. If you will let me see him again, if you will let him telephone me, oh, let him telephone me now. Sally, does that not sound?
Oh, my God. We
does
just
that not sound like
that, didn't we?
Hey!
Oh, my God. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yes!
Oh, my God.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's unbelievable. So you had Tom on the show. Wow.
Well, he came on weekly, and yeah,
oh, wow.
And yeah, and then
that's amazing. You know what?
What?
I need to get that quote and put it on my bathroom.
Well,
mirror.
I'll send it. Well, wait, there's more here. Then Milton says, remember a time in the not-so-distant past when established mores and the non-existence of text messaging and social media relegated young women to waiting endless hours by the phone for a potential suitor to call. And Parker captures the angst of those seemingly eternal moments brilliantly.
Yes, she does. Oh,
it's from a thing she wrote, Sally, just in case you want. She wrote, I don't know if it's a short story or something, from, it's called A Telephone Call is the title, and she wrote it in 1930.
1930. Oh, my God. And that's when telephones were still, think about it.
Yeah.
New.
Here's more of it.
I'm
going to give you, Sally, I'm going to give you more of it. Here's her, Dorothy Parker.
Oh, yeah.
Don't let my prayer seem too little to you, God. You sit up there so white and old with all the angels about you and the stars slipping by, and I come to you with a prayer about a telephone call. Don't laugh, God. You see, you don't know how it feels. You're so safe there on your throne with the blue swirling under you. Nothing can touch you. No one can twist your heart in his hands. This is suffering, God. This is bad suffering. Won't you help me? For your son's sake, help me. You said you would do whatever was asked of you in his name. Oh God, in the name of thine only beloved Son, Jesus Christ our Lord, let him telephone me now.
That's depressing. Here's the thing. I'm feeling these pangs of nostalgia, but nostalgia is supposed to have an element of a positive feelings, and this is not positive at all. This is negative. I'm feeling like I need another donut after that.
I think
that's brilliant.
That is
brilliant. I mean, oh my God.
That's how brilliant that woman is.
Was.
Yeah. And Milton, I'm not surprised that was your, yeah. Oh,
tell him thank you. Tell him thank you, but no thank you.
So, okay. Actually, our time is up, but I always get the COVID-19 report from Allegheny County Health Department, just came in. Our numbers have been so outrageous. So, do you want to hear today's? Oh God!
Well, of course I do. That because it sort of determines how adventurous I am that day.
Yeah, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, so 2 days ago it was 300 something. Yesterday it was 200 something. And I have to tell you, today is 140. So we have 3 days where it seems to be at least going down. But I was at the other day, and he said, don't look at the new cases. Look at new hospitalizations. And this is the biggest increase in hospitalizations I've seen in some time. It doesn't sound like much, but the number is 12. And normally it's been 1 or 3. So all these hundreds and hundreds of people who are getting it, some are getting very sick, and there's been one more death. So he said, watch the hospitalizations, because that's also a sign of whether or not our healthcare system is going to get overwhelmed.
Okay.
And the ages today, the age range of these 140 new cases are 2 years old to 94. And the median age, 33.
I saw where a 98-year-old recovered. It was on, I can't remember what cable news.
Oh, I've seen 102-year-old recovered. I was talking to my mom yesterday, and she said she had just been swimming, and she said, I feel great. She said, I could live a lot. I said, Mom, you could live another 10 years. She said, I know.
How old is she? 96, 97?
She'll be 98 in a month, in 3 weeks.
So she is 97, going to be 98. That's what I thought. Oh, that's amazing. I'll like I said, I'll be lucky if I make it to 70. So
Sally, you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay.
I'll have dementia probably in 2 years. No, it's interesting. There's everything. I think I may have said this to you. You read a lot and you make some decisions, even though it's painful. One of the decisions I made, and I'll probably end with this, is that I was reading the science writer at The Atlantic. I think his name is Ed. Is it Young? Anyway, he does very good pieces. And he did a fabulous piece about, the critical endangerment of the giraffe. But anyway, that's beside the point. So he was asked the question, would he eat out? And I hate to say this because we need to support our restaurants. They're small businesses, and small businesses are the basis of the American economy. They're necessary in our economy. And I feel awful what's happening to all of them. But nevertheless, he said that no, until the end of the year, at least, he would not eat out, even outside of a restaurant. He said, because when you eat, you take your mask off. And sometimes 6 feet isn't enough. And sometimes 6 feet isn't really 6 feet. I mean, I look at what's so-called 6 feet, and I'm like, if you took a 6-foot man and lay him down on the ground, it would be a lot larger space. And then he said, being inside, you can't count on the ventilation inside. So we said it's just better not to take the risk because there's a risk involved in each. So what he does is he does takeout and delivery. Now, is that enough to keep some of these places running? Probably not. But I made the choice. I remember reading the article and sitting there and saying, okay, this is my choice. I am not going to eat out until next year. But that's
Sally, Dunkin' Donuts thanks you.
I know. But the other thing is wheat thins. I eat wheat thins every day. Sometimes I eat them 3 times a day. And I order them from Amazon in things of a carton of 10 boxes of reduced fat wheat thins. I never get tired of them. That's one of the only things that makes it's one of the only things that makes me happy.
Oh.
My life is pathetic.
It is not, and you've been a delight today, and you do it again soon, and we'll try to remember Lloyd's suggestion that we finish a topic and let each other speak.
But don't you think this is how women talk a lot?
Yeah, it's true.
But I think all people talk this way, men and women. The thing is, you're listening to what is an invigorating conversation, only you have people who aren't participating in it listening on the other side. And I think that it's been a long time since I've done this. I'm not cognizant of that. So Lloyd, I am sorry. I will be the next time I'm on more cognizant of that.
For God's sake. See, you did it. You managed to get through this whole hour and did not apologize. I think that was your first apology, which was incredible. You have nothing to apologize for, and we all thank you. You're always a delight. Almost always a delight. All righty, Sal. Be well.
I gotta go get some weed thins.
Okay. Be well. Bye.
Be well. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. And I just remembered that I have to tell you guys that I will not be on Monday. So I got 4 days here. And Monday I do have to do a medical procedure. And so next week I'll see you on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. Be well, be smart, be sane, and all that. Thank you. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.